Does karma ever catch up with a narcissist? Absolutely. I haven't met one yet who is truly happy and content in life. Quite the opposite. They are grumpy, angry, defensive, hypersensitive, insecure, watching every corner and everything and everyone, lazy, unmotivated, full of drama, worked up, and upset. Welcome to the Covert Narcissism podcast. I'm your host, Renee Swanson. I am not a therapist, and you are not a victim. They do not know how to love or how to be loved. They're constantly seeking it, but they don't recognize it when it's right in front of them. When they have it, they're so afraid of losing it that they push it away. They don't know how to actually relax and enjoy life. They have no idea how to be in the present moment, much less to enjoy it. They have no peace. In other words, they are already living in hell. And this is their karma, a life devoid of true connection and fulfillment. But what about their victims? I have met plenty of them. And these are individuals who have suffered at their hands, but they often come out so much stronger and more resilient on the other side of narcissism. You see, they learn and grow. Yes, they're hurting. Yes, they're suffering, but they self-reflect. They work on themselves. They quit hiding from who they are and rather embrace themselves. They learn to find forgiveness for themselves, and they approach life with curiosity. They do the inner work, and they learn to be present in life. With this self-discovery, the present moment is a treasured part of their life. They find joy in life, joy in their inner circle of friends, joy in the simple relationships they have, joy in their hobbies, their pets, nature, music. They learn to slow down, to relax, and to embrace life. They know how to love unconditionally, and they also know how to experience the true value of that unconditional love. They embrace peace. In essence, they experience heaven. This is their karma, a life full of connection and fulfillment. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, but I haven't found that peace yet. This kind of sucks. What's wrong with me? If you haven't found this peace yet, it's okay. Nothing is wrong with you. This journey is challenging, and it does take time. Stay on that journey. You're already showing up for life and for yourself just by being here listening to this. You're already on that path. Stick with it. You are stronger than you know, and brighter days are coming. Be gracious with yourself and patient as well. In this episode, I'm going to give you some of the necessary steps to propel you forward on that journey of healing. If you'd like to dig in even deeper, I do offer coaching. This coaching is small group or private sessions. You can find it on my website at covertnarcissism.com. So what happens to a covert narcissist as they age? They become more and more dissatisfied with life. You see, they can't run from their insecurities forever. Their image falls apart, leading to increased anger and frustration. They become trapped in their own resentment and their own self-sabotaging behaviors. In essence, this is a self-inflicted hell. No matter how much they try to control others, their manipulative tactics stop working as more and more people get their eyes open, or more and more people self-reflect and do the inner work and grow, and the narcissist finds themselves more and more isolated. They don't have any real connections or any genuine relationships. Their own lack of empathy leaves them isolated and empty, stuck in perpetual perpetual unhappiness behind a facade. They may still continue to show that image, but there's an emptiness behind it. Karma does catch up with them. So how about you? How do you find that peace and joy that so many are looking for? That peace that the victims of covert narcissism are finding in life. But it's a peace that covert narcissists never do. You find it by breaking the trauma bond. And in this episode, I want to give you some of the steps that you can take to break that trauma bond. I'm just going to name the steps here, and then we're going to dive into them. Number 1 is recognize the bond. Number 2 is prioritize self-care. Number 3 is seek support. Number 4 is to set boundaries. Number 5, build your sense of self. Number 6, challenge your negative beliefs. And number 7, my favorite, is to find more of you. There's an exercise there that I'm going to give you when we get to the end of this episode, so make sure you stick around for that one. Recognizing the bond, step 1. So we talk about this a lot. I'm not going to dive into too much of this right here. Most of you that are here listening to this episode know by now what a trauma bond is and whether you're in it or not. This is tracking the cycles of the good and bad behavior from the covert narcissist, tracking the ups and downs of your thoughts and your feelings, identifying the contradictory thoughts and feelings going on inside of you, the cognitive dissonance, which I've talked about in previous episodes. Are you making excuses for them? Are you blaming yourself? Are you isolated from others outside the relationship? Do you have a strong sense of loyalty to this abusive person in your life? All of these are signs of a trauma bond. So number 1 is recognize the bond. Now, number 2 is to prioritize self-care. And let's talk about this for a minute. In regards to your physical needs, most of you have a pretty good list in your mind of what are your physical self-care items. Things like brushing your teeth every day, drinking water, taking care of yourself with like showers and hygiene, getting plenty of sleep and rest. These are things you already know that you need to do. But what about your emotional self-care? Do you have a list of emotional self-care items? Things like, to feel connected with others, to feel loved and valued, to trust yourself, to feel confident and capable, to trust others, to have the freedom to be you, to have your feelings matter, to care for yourself, to speak to yourself with kindness and compassion, and to seek support from others. These are just some of the things that should be on your emotional self-care list. So I encourage each one of you right now, pause this episode and start making your emotional self-care list. It matters. Now, how do we do these things, that are on our list? This is where we start taking the steps to our emotional self-care. Things like practicing mindfulness, journaling, expressing your feelings, finding your little safe group around you that you can express your feelings to. Prioritize your rest and relaxation, and set boundaries around your self-care. Self-care is not selfish. Listen to what I'm saying here, because with a covert narcissist, you've been called selfish over and over and over. Self-care is not selfish. Now, step 3 is to seek support. Emotional self-care does often involve other people. So be purposeful about who is directly in your life. Surround yourself with people who line up with your self-care items. Here's an example. If I want to be able to trust others, which I like how that feels, I like to trust people, then I need to surround myself with people that I can trust. And I'm going to limit my interactions to those that I cannot trust. There's nothing wrong with this. This is self-care. Your social circles kind of come in layers. You've got an inner circle and an outer circle, but in my inner circle, this is a small group of people who line up with my emotional self-care items. I don't need a lot of people there to feel connected to life, to feel genuine relationships. I only need 4 or 5 people in that little group. Then my outer circle, this is a larger group of people This is my social network, but they're more at a distance. They're not in my inner circle. There's nothing wrong with this. No self-judgment here for, deciding who's in your inner circle and who isn't. You get to set up the space for you to be more freely you. No self-judgment. Give yourself permission to adjust your social circles as needed. Step number 4 is to set boundaries. And I talked about this in the last week's episode, so if you missed it, please go back and grab that one. So I'm just going to identify it here, but this is where it goes in breaking this trauma bond. There are 3 simple steps to setting these boundaries. 1 is acknowledge their feelings. And you might think I'm crazy there, but I'm going to acknowledge his feelings so that I can continue being the compassionate person that I am. This is a step that's for me, okay? Step number 2 is to state your boundary. And step number 3 is to then shift the focus. If you missed that episode, please go back and listen to it. It's the 3 simple steps of setting boundaries with a covert narcissist. Step number 5 is to build your sense of self. Emotional self-care now becomes about figuring out who you are. This journey of self-discovery is what connects you with your life. This is what the covert narcissist cannot do. They don't have a sense of self, and they don't know how to get there. And to me, that is incredibly sad, and I hate it for them. But that's where they get so trapped. But you're not trapped. You can find your sense of self. I encourage you to take a piece of paper and draw a great big circle right in the middle of it. That circle should fill up like the whole piece of paper. Inside that circle, describe you. The roles that you play in life, the characteristics you have, your strengths and your weaknesses. Just start describing you. Let's figure out who you are. You need to figure out who you are. Now, as you're going through this exercise, or after you've kind of filled in your circle quite a bit, I want you to look at that list again, and now I want you to ask, which ones of these descriptions are feelings? If they're feelings, let's circle them in one color. Circle them in blue. Those are your feelings. Then I want you to look at it and go, okay, which ones of these are traits? Maybe underline them in red. So now you have some shape to this picture starting to develop. And the next step of this is separate the feelings out. Your feelings are not your characteristics. Feelings are experiences. They're not permanent. Feelings are your body's responses to your thoughts. And having a feeling, let's say I'm angry one day. That feeling is like, me traveling to the beach. I go to the beach, I experience the beach, I exist at the beach, I breathe it, I smell it, I experience it. But then I come home. Anger is like that. I'm in anger, I experience it, I breathe it, I feel it, I think about it, but then I come home. It's not my home. It's just an experience. It's not permanent. So in that regard, don't run from the negative feelings. Instead, look at them with curiosity. What is it that's taken you to the beach? What is it that's taken you to this place of anger? You see, feelings are your body's response to your thoughts. So how about identifying the thoughts that are creating those feelings? Work through those thoughts. Process them. Why do I have negative feelings about this? What is it in this thought that's got me upset? Start reframing them. Okay, if one of your feelings that you're experiencing is lonely, then let's reframe it. Where is it coming from? First, let's start with why are these thoughts causing me to feel lonely? Well, maybe it's because I believe it's bad to be alone at my age, or I'm going to be alone forever and I'm afraid of that. Well, now it's time to reframe it. How about instead I say, you know what? I really enjoy the peace and quiet when I'm alone. It allows me the space to do the things I want to do in life. This quiet time makes the time that's with my friends and family extra enjoyable. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. This is a reframing process so that these thoughts no longer bring the negative feelings. Step number 6 is to challenge the negative beliefs. Identify your negative beliefs. Voice them. These are things like life is pointless, or I am worthless, or I'm living in despair. Now it's time to challenge these negative beliefs. Examine the evidence. Look at them with curiosity. Why do I feel like I'm worthless? Maybe ask yourself, is this someone else's voice in my head? Who did I learn it from? Who taught me that I'm worthless? Identify alternative perspectives. Is it true that I'm worthless? What are some of the valuable things I've done in life? Where is some of the good of the things that I have done? And choose what you believe for yourself. Now, I want to insert one piece here that's so important on this. Challenge your all or nothing thinking. It isn't either that I'm completely worthless or I'm completely valuable. This all or nothing thinking is actually a trait that carries over from the narcissistic people in our lives. You see, life isn't black and white. We do have times in our life where maybe we're a little more worthless and other times where we're a lot more valuable. There's a mixture here, and it's okay. Some of those times of worthless is when, you know what, I've just reached the max capacity of all the valuable work I've done, and I'm kind of spent, and I find myself, maybe at the beach, collapsed on the sand, not moving for a while. Somebody may look at that and say, okay, well, that's kind of a position of being worthless. You know what? Yes, but I earned it. Okay? Challenge this perspective. Challenge those beliefs and choose what you believe. Replace those beliefs with your positive affirmations. Don't compare yourself to others. This isn't about anyone else in your world. This is about you. So take those negative beliefs, look at the all or nothing aspect of it, and start to find balance in your beliefs. The last step, one of my favorites, is to find more of you. So this exercise that I give people in my group sessions is called More of Me, Less of Me. You take a piece of paper, and on that paper, you write at the top, more of me. And about halfway down, or on another piece of paper, if you want to make two separate sheets here, you write less of me. Under the more of me category, I want you to identify the people, activities, places, events that make you feel more of you, that make you feel more alive, more hopeful, more connected to life, more motivated, more present. And on the less of me page, identify the people, activities, places, and events that make you feel less of you, that make you feel smaller, hopeless, less motivated, more foggy. And then the goal here is to maximize your investment into the more of me list and to minimize your investment into the less of me list. Now, you might not be able to just completely eliminate everything that's on the less of me list I'm never going to do, or those are people I'm never going to be around. No, maybe it's some of your own family members, and you want to be around them in, Christmas parties or social events, and that's fine. But you're going to minimize that time. You're going to lessen that time and lessen the mental space that you give them and the focus that you give them, and maximize your investment into the more of me list. The people, the places, the activities that make you feel bigger. I'll give you a perfect example of a way to even apply this to, let's say, your work in life. Okay, more of me, for me, on that list is talking to people, connecting with people, the group sessions, the individual sessions, making this podcast, writing content. I love it. I could do that forever, and it makes me feel more alive. But as soon as I have a technical problem on my website, or on my social media stuff, I shrivel up into a little ball. That's the less of me side. So the lesson I learned when I realized that and put this on my list was the first thing I needed to do was find somebody else who could take the technical side away from me. Okay, and when I did, and it was my son, when I did, for him, that brings him to life. It matches him. He loves the technical issues. If I call him and say, hey, I've got a technical problem here, he's on fire. Mom, give it to me. I got it. And you make him sit and talk to people, and he's going to shrivel up. We all have our own more of me and less of me. But you've got to find where you fit into that. What are the things that make you more alive? And connect with those and maximize those. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. Self-care is not selfish. It's actually the best thing you can do for this world. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. You have been listening to the Covert Narcissism podcast. If you are struggling with covert narcissism in your life, I help people to heal from covert narcissistic abuse. If you are struggling with the isolation, the self-doubt, and the obsessive thinking, then this is the program for you. I offer both group and individual options. This is live, personalized coaching that is specific to covert narcissism. Reach out to me anytime. You can find me at my website, covertnarcissism.com. I'm not a therapist and you are not a victim. I am a coach and you are a survivor. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. The information provided by Renee Swanson and the Covert Narcissism podcast is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes and not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a healthcare provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. It does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support an allegation or a claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and information provided.